Hey guys, welcome back to Sports Tea. I hope everyone's having a great evening so far. We have a really good show tonight. Honestly, as you can see in the lineup, we're going to start off discussing Bronny James. As you all know, that he scored his first basket in a regular season game, and he was able to do this in his hometown where he was born. So the Lakers were blown off the floor, and we'll get to that. We'll get to all of that. But before we do, please do me a favor, like the video, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Um, I also want to shout out some of the loyal supporters of the channel. I'm going to start off with my twin T-Bert, Jeffrey Young, Jeffrey Guyett, Alexander X, Lamont from New Jersey, Pizza Time, It's Not That Serious, Push, EGHCK from Harlem. Okay, shout out to Harlem, my guy Push, Chirac Maybach, James Prez, Funky Town, Dylan, Drew, Joe, Lisa, Josephine, Donna, Courtney, Crystal. Your donations and support of the channel, it means a lot to me, and it goes a long way to helping Sports Tea grow and expand. So thanks again. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first topic, Bronny James. Okay, obviously there's a story about LeBron, Bronny, or the Lakers every single day, right? This is happening every single day that we have to hear about this family, right? And like it puts content creators in a bind because we've all addressed whether or not Bronny is a scrub, and we've determined he doesn't belong in the NBA. We can't ignore the Bronny stories, the criticism, the praise, because he's in the news every day and it is manufactured due to the media behind these stories. The new narratives, the new one is that, Bronny shouldn't be receiving any criticism. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. He shouldn't be receiving any criticism. We're just supposed to be in awe of LeBron James playing with his son on the court. I do have two sound bites that I want to play for you guys. The first is going to be Gilbert Arenas. Bronny James, he was featured on the cover of Men's Health magazine, and he mentioned Gilbert Arenas being one of his favorite NBA players because he played with him a lot in 2K. And Gil, he's asked about this interview. So let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, using his daddy. Can't beat your daddy. But Gil, what's your reaction to Bronny showing you love in Men's Health magazine?
Man, I understand, everyone's judging the basketball game, but nobody's judging him as an influencer. Sometimes you got to look at it a little different. He's an influencer that's playing basketball, right? You're talking about a kid who he has more followers on social media than Patrick Mahomes, right? He literally has more than a 3-time NFL champion, right? So his influence is really, really huge. So he's going to get chanted everywhere. This is not about his performance on basketball. So, the fact that he
an influencer that's playing basketball, his following is more than Patrick Mahomes. It's not about his basketball performance. Men's Health magazine, they typically feature people who are really great at what they do. I know that Bronny suffered cardiac arrest, but the rumors behind that are so terrible to imagine being true that I would think that they would lay low and kind of, not be all in the magazines. Remember what Suge Knight said about Diddy way back in the 90s? You want to produce who's dancing all in the videos. You would just think that they would be a little bit low about what they're doing, right? But no, you've got Bronny all over the cover of magazines. It's so off-putting because he doesn't have the talent to be given the praise and the spotlight. It's just like, why are we highlighting someone who doesn't belong in the NBA? Really interesting, right? But it seems that the way to combat those kinds of rumors and terrible things is to say, like, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna keep you watching me, right? So it's just like, hey, the way to cover a ped scandal is just to get as much press as possible and get even more attention. But going back to the key thing that Gilbert Arenas said is, this is not about his basketball performance. It's about him influencing the public. For me, this is just flat out diabolical. Why would any athlete want to promote unqualified players making it to the NBA? It's just shameful. Where is the respect for the game? Bronny clearly loves being famous. He was born for the cameras in his face, and being the first NBA player in the history of the sport to be interviewed and glorified on every single major media outlet after scoring 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. This is the first time I've ever seen something like that in the same game where Anthony Davis scored 36 points and 15 rebounds in an opening season game for the Lakers. This hasn't been done since Wilt Chamberlain, but we were focused on Bronny, who literally produced nothing in that game. How is that possible? In what world? I guess in the influencer world. The NBA, it's already affiliated with Skims. So I guess Kim Kardashian is impacting the sport so much where you don't even need talent. You just need to be famous, and being in the NBA is no longer about talent. It's about followers on Instagram. Imagine that. Now kids all over the world that have famous parents can do anything as long as they build a following on social media. That famous influencer, the biggest influencer in the world, Kai Cenat, he's now partnered with the NBA. He's the largest influencer in the world. But what is he? He's a gamer. Bronny's a gamer. I'd rather see Bronny in Call of Duty instead of the NBA. I believe LeBron is working on that deal, though. I believe he's working on Bronny getting into Call of Duty. I think he tweeted about him having a skin in the game, and that he would get that done. He'd make it happen, just like he made it happen for him to get in the NBA. And this is just crazy. It just proves that not only does Bronny not need the NBA for generational wealth, because he's already a success, it just shows the direction the NBA is headed in. And it all makes sense to me now. They don't want talent. They don't want a game with integrity. They're not looking for that. Paul George, who plays for the 76ers, serial loser, by the way, has a podcast, even though he's never won anything. You would think he'd be focused on winning and staying healthy to be able to compete and contend. But he was heavily criticized earlier this week for some comments that he made about Bronny as well. And he talked about the media criticizing Bronny. Here's what he had to say.
I do agree that what kind of Mace was, I think, alluding to was just having the identity, right? Having the identity of who Bronny is now. You know what I mean? Instead of, to your point, Jackie, I wouldn't say, looking lost, but to have a look to himself of like, all right, I'm Bronny James, and, this is who I am. This is who the player that you're going to get, and I'm finding my way. Like, I do think he should have a look and identity, because it's automatically people are going to, the next generation are going to gravitate to him. The next generation is already looking up to Bronny, and so he's going to be the next wave of stars. Whatever his NBA career looks like, he's automatically an influencer and an inspiration to a lot of these kids. So him having a look and an identity will go a long ways.
Agreed. That was fun.
Paul George is telling him to have a look and an identity. Really? Not have a better game, not work on your game and get better, but to have a look and an identity. What the hell? We don't care about how these players look. We care about their performance on the floor. And when you stink it up, people are going to talk about that. How is he inspiring a wave of people? Who does Bronny James inspire? I'm confused. What has he done? What's inspiring about Bronny James playing in the NBA? I want somebody to make me understand how that's inspiring. He didn't earn his roster spot or his contract. He was the worst player on his college team that was also a terrible team. He couldn't shine on a team that was terrible. He couldn't pull a Caitlin Clark and figure out how to drag that bad team, how to drag the dead weight on his team to more wins. He didn't stand out as even a mediocre player on that team, but he did stand out as someone that seems like they should be playing video games instead of basketball. I think this is a disgrace. This is nothing to look up to. Abusing your power to serve yourself is shameful. People think that LeBron is using Bronny and potentially even his youngest son, Bryce, to serve his GOAT status. I think that could be part of it, but I really believe it's rooted in legacy. And so, yes, GOAT status ties back to legacy, right? But everything with LeBron since, I don't know, the beginning of his career has been about his legacy. And legacy, it also ties back to your children that you have and how people are going to remember you, right? And I think it's really interesting because for me, I believe that it's not just rooted in legacy, but keeping his name in the media for years to come. That's part of what that legacy is about. And LeBron is telling us that he wants to be remembered for abusing his power, forcing Bronny and maybe even Bryce onto the Lakers, a storied winning franchise, one of the winningest franchises in NBA history, even though they're not qualified. He doesn't want to be remembered for winning because he didn't win more than the greats before him. And so winning, it doesn't matter. No longer matters because LeBron feels like maybe he didn't win enough. LeBron doesn't even really want to be remembered for his accolades because he only has one scoring title. I believe that we are going to suffer as basketball fans until we decide to move on to maybe watching the Big Three or something else. Maybe we're going to move on to pickleball. But I believe that we're going to suffer, and I believe that LeBron will be responsible for injecting influencers into basketball that are not talented and removing the most important thing in the sport, which is talent and true athletic success. What do you guys think? Are influencers the new NBA stars? Is that the direction we are headed in? I am going to read some comments. I want to see what you guys are talking about in the comments. I am going to read one of the super chats that came through from Blockchain Easy. Shout out to you. Just sending love from Washington Heights, NYC. Keep up the good work. Shout out to the Heights. Oh my gosh, I miss it up there so much. Back in June, I was there for my nephew's graduation, and it was just so amazing just to have some Dominican food and just be in that New York vibe. It was great. But anyhow, let's see. What are you guys chatting about here? LeBron and Trump are the same. Bronny's failure as an NBA player will be the nail in LeBrick's manufactured career coffin. I don't know. It seems like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what LeBron's career actually is. It doesn't matter what his stats actually are. It doesn't matter that Bronny isn't good. It literally doesn't seem to matter. Blockchain Easy. Yes, Bronny is a culprit in all of this. He's not a kid anymore. I couldn't agree more. He's complicit in this, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later when we talk to about Lakers as well. So, Bronny's the GOAT. I mean, he's the GOAT of not really having to accomplish anything and still being famous, still being rich, and stealing money from the NBA. I'm not too mad at it. It's just I want to focus on the basketball. I want the real stars in the league to be praised. I want them to receive hype. Chirac, if I was Anthony Davis, I would demand a tree, but Anthony Davis doesn't have a spine. He signed to Clutch Sports. I don't know that he doesn't have a spine, or if he's perhaps his hands are tied behind his back. Maybe his back is up against the wall. We have no idea what Anthony Davis is going through, what concerns he's expressed or pushback he's given. I think that part of him being injured for so much of his tenure during the Lakers, with his time with the Lakers, is because he didn't like what was going on. It is because he didn't appreciate the narratives about it and being blamed for everything. So, hey, I'm out. Let's see what LeBron can do on his own. But, I actually feel bad for Anthony Davis because, I'm sure he wants to play in LA. I'm sure he wants to be, an all-time Laker great. And it's all being marred by the media circus that exists with LeBron, and now an even added layer of stress with Bronny James. So Bronny doesn't deserve the attention. Dalton Connect is more deserving of that, of course. I think in that game against the Cavs, Dalton scored 18 points and Bronny scored 2 points. 2 points. It's kind of insane. Shout out to Mel from Man Down Sports. What's up, big dog? We're still arguing about who's the GOAT, guys. I love it. Why don't you talk about the good players? Stop talking about lay ass and his Make-A-Wish child. You guys crack me up. You really do. Yeah, I mean, I would love to. I've mentioned Paolo Banchero before. I think he's excellent. I think he's got a great game, and I want to hear more about him. He's not covered. His games don't get nationally televised. It's very unfortunate. Okay, I am going to open the phone lines up. I want to take one call for each segment, guys, and I want to keep the calls short-ish. So if you can give your take in about a minute or less, that would be really great. So thanks so much. Looks like we have our first caller already. T-Bert, talk to me nice, buddy.
What's up, Dom? T-Bert in the house.
Yes.
How are you, love?
I am so good. I just want to say happy Thursday to you. Thanks for staying up late with me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's all good. It's only 2:39. It's nothing. We all good. I wanted to start off with this. I want to start off different, Dom, if it's okay with you.
You start off different.
So first, I want to shout out to all the mods. Like the mods. So I see Prez is a new mod. He's been on fire like the last comedy stream. I really like Prez with his comments. Blockchain Easy. Of course, my boy Chirac. That's my guy. You got Jeffrey, Alexander. So shout out to the mods because they do such a phenomenal job, and they keep things in order for you because you talk a lot because that's your job, and the mods really go fire. So shout out to all the mods, like y'all are doing a hell of a job. Shout out to all the people on the chat too as well. So I just wanted to start out by just giving out some flowers, if that was okay with you.
Absolutely, T-Bert. Dare to be different and give your take. What do you think? Do you think that the NBA is becoming more about influencers?
Oh, absolutely. You know what I say every time I call. It's not the NBA, it's the NBA, National Basketball Entertainment. And that's exactly what it is. And you
Now
know what?
that's WWE though. Do you think that the NBA is moving toward NBA stars? uh, I'm sorry, as influencers being the new NBA stars. We used to see it in reverse, right? We used to see in the past that if you were a great NBA player, then you were able to influence the public, right? Like Michael Jordan, he's still influencing the public today. We're buying his sneakers and, and we're invested in Jordan brand, right? So now
Absolutely.
it's reverse. So if you're popular, then you can be in the
Dom,
NBA. Do you
I,
think that that's a direction, or it's just this unique
it
case of Bronny?
it seems like it's going that way.
Hmm.
The NBA is going in every direction except for back to fundamental basketball. And I know you've been watching the NBA just like I have, Dom. It is so deplorable. It's so hard to watch. Like I just don't know. We shouldn't call this basketball anymore. And I think one of the problem, well, the main problem is um the best way I could describe it is when you let the employees run the business, right? And that's what happens. You know, not bringing up race or skin color, but they got old terminology saying that's why you don't let the inmates run the prison. So the NBA, they're just doomed unless ownership and real basketball minds take the game back. They have to lower these salaries, put them on incentive-based contracts like the NFL has a lot, right? That'll make them play 82 games. They won't be low management and all that crap. Incentive-based contracts, and you can't give out $300 million contracts. You give a person $300 million who's not in love with the game, what you going to get? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So they got to lower their money. Like they need to, like the highest paid player could be whatever, 50 mil, something like that over 4 years. Like they got to reduce the money, give them incentive, give them a reason to want to play basketball. They don't have a reason. And that's why the game is horrible. And I just seen some statistics that came out on the NBA over the first four games. Ratings were down between 33 and 56% because this is horrible to watch. It's just awful.
Ugh. And they, as if they weren't already not good. Last year the ratings weren't good, and they're going down anywhere from 30 to 50%. Ugh.
Yeah, I still stick around and I watch because you know it just really makes me miss the W. The W needs to be 182 games. Like I wouldn't watch the NBA if the W was 182 games. I'm so sorry. Those girls are so more fundamentally talented, and they give a damn, and they give it they all. They play them games like every game is game 7, and you know. I just can't, like, I'm gonna use your terminology. I just can't get jiggy with today's NBA. I'm just so done.
I just wonder how long we're all going to be able to make it. It's just, it's nothing but narrative, storylines, fake drama, a bunch of lies and cap.
Nope. And no defense. Drive and kick for a three. Drive and kick for a three. And you don't even see block shots anymore because
You
they
don't even
don't
see
jump.
athleticism.
No,
You
like
don't need to jump. I think Mel said the other day, it cracked me up. He said that Jokic can't jump over like a sidewalk curb.
no, shout out the man down. I saw him in here too. You know, no, he the man. But yeah, he's absolutely right. Like, Dom, I've watched these games, and when people take a jump shot, the defender just puts one hand in the air. That's today's defense. One hand in the air. Like, what the hell is that? But meanwhile, um, we saw our girl from Minnesota Lynx. She was getting like 4, 5, 6 blocks a game.
Right.
I don't understand. Talking about Nafisa Collier, but I don't know, Don. I'm having a rough time transitioning into this era of the NBA. It's really tough on a purist like me. It's just hard to watch. It's not entertaining. It's just not. So, and to Bronny, I was arguing with this less than smart guy today. I said something not so positive about Bronny. First thing he says to me is, "Why you hating on Bronny? Why you hating on Bronny?" I said, "Bro, just because I criticize a person's game doesn't mean that I'm hating." That's how I know I'm talking to a cult member, right? I said, "I'm from Philly. I criticize Embiid's game. I hate everything about his game. No one has ever called me an Embiid hater. But I criticize, we're celebrating Bronny. He's on the front page of everything because he scored 2 points." And then I saw, this is just going to trip you out, Dom. Somebody, I think it was Gilbert Arenas' show, the moderator guy that sits in the middle. I forget his name right now. But he said, LeBron and Bronny, Bronny scored 2 points. LeBron had like 26. So they're the all-time leading scorer in history in father and son duos. They're just making up records, man. Like, give me a break. I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's just so scripted that they send Bronny down to the G League. Well, ironically, when he comes back to Cleveland, let's get him. Let's bring him in here. It was just for show. And as soon as this little 3-game trip is up, he's going back to the G League where he don't even belong. But they don't talk about Connect, though. Connect been doing pretty good. Now talk about Connect. And last thing, Don, I'll let you go. What's the guy name on Gil's show? The left-handed jump shooter, plays for Milwaukee Bucks.
Is that Rashad McCants or Brandon
Yeah.
Jennings?
Brandon Jennings.
Yeah.
His young, not so smart behind. He said Bronny had a better game than Wembyana the other day because Bronny scored 2 points and Wemby had a bad game with 8 points. He literally said, but. He said Bronny had a better game than Wemby. I just can't. What am I watching? What am I doing,
Brandon Jennings is a liar. So he was staunchly against Bronny being in the NBA. And Gil had to shut that down. He had to go behind the scenes. And yeah, he had to have texted his group chat like, "Hey, we're going to roll in this direction. You know, I need us to be rowing in the same direction, and we're going to support Bronny, period."
Yeah, you might be right because my favorite one on that show was always Kenyon. But now all of a sudden, when it comes to LeBron and Bronny, Kenyon's rolling with the punches, and he's always, in my opinion, been a straight shooter. Now I think he's full of ish.
See, I mean, Kenyon Martin's always been full of it when it comes to LeBron and Bronny. He's never, he's never, in my opinion, covered them properly. I believe he went to the same high school that Bronny was playing for, Sierra Canyon, or his kid played that, something like that. But they have a history. And he's definitely. I think that there's times like Rashad McCants, like his role and the role that he's playing on that show is to be against LeBron and to be, debating staunchly. He's a huge Kobe fan. So I think he believes Kobe is the GOAT and LeBron is nowhere close. But,
absolutely. And let me say this and I'm going to let you go.
Mm-hmm.
Whatchamacallit on the show? I don't know. It's late over here. Kenyon Martin.
Mm-hmm.
His son plays in the NBA. Did we ever talk about his first 2 points? Did the ESPN, did Gilbert Arenas, did anybody cover his son score his first 2 points? Absolutely not. But we got to cover bum behind Bronny James. So thank you so much, Dom. Thanks for giving me the time. Shout out to you. Shout out to Man Down. Shout out to all the mods and everybody in the comment section. Thank you so much. Your show is awesome.
Thank you so much, T-Bird. I'm going to move to the next topic. I appreciate you calling in. Great call.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.